Joining us on the show once again today is someone I can call a returning champion to this podcast. Of course, her team once again heads this weekend for a Sweet 16 battle with the University of Georgia, fresh off of a 4-love round 2 upset victory over 16th seeded Washington. Welcome back onto the podcast, Cal women's tennis head coach Amanda Augustus. Coach, it is always good to see you. Welcome back to the show. I apologize I could not be there in person, but how is my state of Georgia treating you? How are you doing today?
It's great. They're always fantastic hosts. We wish you could have been here in person, but I will accept your apology. But yeah, happy to be with you again, as always.
They're in spirit, I promise, if nothing else. And certainly, again, appreciate you taking the time to be here on the show. And, let's get right to it. If I would have come to you on January 1st and said, hey, on May 8th, your team's going to be 15-8, but in the Sweet 16, what do you think you would have said to me?
Um, I don't know. It's just been one of these years. I've told a few people it's kind of like being a freshman again because we changed the singles and doubles split and the conference changed, and so it was just a lot of like, okay, let's just see what happens, and tomorrow is tomorrow. So yeah, I think a lot of notes taken in my head, and yeah, but I think my group, handled it well. We're, like I said, happy to be here again, and see what we can do tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I want to ask you about some of those notes here in a second, but coming off of that round 2 performance, and I got to broadcast it, oh my God, did the team play some really good tennis. And it was a really competitive doubles point. Like, I do want to give Washington credit, but the start in singles, to get that sort of win at 4 over a Koenig who had been like 17-2 or something crazy on the year, just is that the best match you've seen your team play this season? And how, what is your reaction to getting to watch that unfold?
Yeah, I was really proud of them. I think this team understands what each match means, and I think that we didn't quite get off to the best start in January that we had hoped for or planned on because of various reasons. Yeah, I really think start to finish, that probably is the most solid we played at every position.
And I mean, again, to get that sort of win, was your team in need of that sort of win? Like, to have the belief you need to go into a Sweet 16? Had you seen them get that earlier in the year? Because you can't just turn it on in a performance like that. Had there been inklings that, yeah, this is the level we can play to when we're at our best?
Yeah, I mean, I think our win on the road at Virginia. I
Hmm.
think our home, our home match with Duke. Yeah, I think I really do think this team can play with anybody, and everybody has to show up on the day, you and your opponent. So I mean, that's what we do all this for. That's why we do all the practices and the travel and all that. The match time is the fun time. So yeah, I think we have seen it. I've seen it often enough from this team throughout the season. But it's hopefully we are peaking, and I still think we're improving actually, because I really do. So I hope we get as many more opportunities as we can, and I think this team really would love to get back to Waco if we can.
Yeah, no, and obviously, again, I mentioned that match at 4, Berta Pasola Folch, who this year 11-1. But again, I cannot emphasize it enough. It is like to win 0-0 at the collegiate level in round 2. Like, that just doesn't happen. And 11-1 more broadly speaks to her level. And maybe when you were sketching things out in January, you thought, okay, we'll have Katja in the mix as well. Like, I don't know what you thought Berta's role would be, but to see her step in this fashion, why has she been able to have this sort of success?
She actually won 0-0 the day before too. So
Yeah,
I
that's
think I
crazy.
mean, it doesn't matter who you play. That's pretty hard to do. Um, I think, yeah, I think Berta is a big match player. She loves the moment. She loves competing for the team. I think she realizes that, she will be, after the season, one of the leaders on the team. And I think, I think she's setting her height, her sights on the top half of the lineup, and I think she's been putting in the work, and I think that that's coming very soon.
Yeah. No, I really, really impressive stuff from her certainly last weekend, and yeah, I mean, look, you do it is. Look, I love watching your team. I guess let's just get that out in the open. It's one of my favorites to watch all year. You see so many different game styles, and I don't know whether to consider this team old or young. Like I
Yeah.
waver between that every time I watch because certainly like I know I'm starting to get pretty familiar with some Jess El Sola shot selections. Like I've grown comfortable with it for years. Again, no one
Yes.
enjoys Lon more than I do in watching her play and all just the way she competes. It's everything college tennis is about. Um, what have you felt with this group? Again, you have the inside scoop. Why am I talking? Am I onto something?
Yeah. I mean, I think they love competing. They're very competitive. They they have learned through this spring. I definitely think with everything we've had to work through, how to compete together as a group, and and it's so much fun for me and my coaching staff to work with all these different game styles and how are they going to work against different types of opponents. And we have two freshmen starting down at the bottom, and they are really growing leaps and bounds every day, every match, and they're little sponges. So it's a very fun group, and we had a couple good hits today. I enjoy them very much, and I've been doing this for a little while now.
Yeah, no, I like to hear that. And you mentioned the two freshmen, Naomi, and I'm gonna go with GGL. I mean, Greta's not that hard, but I
Yeah,
kind of yeah, I like
that's
GGL.
fine.
Um, what has I mean, again, for them to be asked to contribute as frequently and in quantity, it's just a lot of matches for a freshman to play. What have you seen from each of them that have allowed them to have this sort of success?
um you know Fortunately, I do think Naomi having an older sister that plays at UVA, it wasn't totally new to her, and she was a very top ranked junior coming in the door. What I like about her is she loves to compete. So you put her out there, and she's coachable. She'll try stuff, and she's not going to give up on herself or the team. So I kind of we kind of felt that was in her. I think Greta just came in, or GGL, just came to us in January, and I think that can be a hard transition for some. But we've done it before. Berta came in January as well. So I think the teammates know how to rally around her and help her, know where she needs to be and what she needs to do. So that she could just go out there and compete hard, and she's got a great game. I think there's a lot of upside to both of their games. So we're just excited, to have 3 more years, to maybe 4. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And having all of these pieces to work in, and there's a lot of parity in the lineup as well. Like on any given day, someone could look the best in the building. How long did it take you to feel comfortable in being like, yeah, this is what our six should look like? And again, because I imagine that sort of depth is both burden and blessing.
Yeah, I think after the fall, I had an idea. I think I didn't have it right for a while, and it takes a little while to fix it if it's not quite right. So that was sort of a process for myself and my staff the first sort of third of the season. I think it was also difficult to gauge because of uh, how the fall results came about. It wasn't our normal slate of
Sure.
tournaments and training and development. So yes, I think we're there now, but I I wouldn't have said that in sort of January, February. So
Yeah.
I had to rack my brain quite a lot
That's
for a
that's that
while.
that's the fun. That's
Yes.
what keeps the season interesting. And obviously, in racking your brain, you got to bounce ideas off of a new assistant this year in your former player in Stephanie. What's it been like bringing her back onto the staff? And has it been fun? Did she talk more back when she was in an All American season, or now as your assistant?
um, it's been a joy to have her back in the program. It, I guess, says I've been coaching for quite a while because she's had 3 children since she played for me, and so I'm just really happy. I think I try to teach all of my players to give back and pay it forward, and I think she's someone that understands that very well, and she wanted to help me in the program, and so it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of, well, this we could do 20 years ago, but yeah, it's evolved, right? It's definitely evolved, and but I think she's still been in the game, and I think she could probably hold her own at quite a few lineup positions. So yeah, it's good fun, and I also have Jean Lozano, who's another alum, and she's my third coach. So I don't know. We might be the only one of the a very few all alum staff, probably in top 25 at D1 for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cal's a very special place. Obviously, I'm very biased, but uh, it's fun to go out there with a couple other alums and try to help the next generation. That's what it's all about.
No, it's awesome. I thought it was funny when you submitted Stephanie at 6 just to make sure everyone was paying attention. Like I laughed. No, obviously.
Yeah, no. Robin was a little worried last round. She thought I was going to do it.
Yeah, it was a rare protest approved. No, I mean, again, and for this team, we talked about it earlier. The travel, like, welcome to the ACC, a fun wrinkle here in your tenure at Cal, and
Mhm.
how was again, I got to be on the call for a bunch of different ACC matches throughout the course of this season, and obviously you guys went out to Charlottesville, you went out to Raleigh, you went out to the Florida Swing, which ACC heads know takes many a teams over that course of that stretch of the weekend. I think you guys were the rain weekend, right, where it got pushed to Monday,
Yep.
if my brain is still working. Um, what was it like from your end? How did you think your team handled it?
I think it was a bit of a science experiment, really. The tennis players are not, we're all used to traveling, so that's no big deal. But I think it was the combination of how many days do we have in between? Should we come home for a few days? And I think, well, Frankie at Stanford and I, we kind of talked a lot about it because there's a lot of, we have same spring break, similar um, academic loads for the girls. And I think one trip we went home for 3 nights and they stayed. And then the second one, depending on how one match result panned out, we almost did that again and then we stayed. Um, the girls are very good students. I think one thing I'm most proud of, actually, since we've been here, they won the award for the highest GPA of all the sports at Cal.
Awesome.
So that makes me and my staff very proud. So luckily, they're fantastic students, and we just kind of make it work. They're very organized and plan ahead, and um, we have a great academic advisor that helps them as well. So yeah, it was more sort of taking the, I would say normally we would do more off court training still, but with all the flying, we kind of like something had to give. So it couldn't be the school and it couldn't be the tennis. So, some of the stuff in a normal season we would have kept doing. Extra rest days definitely had to go in there.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Did you get to proctor any exams? I say get to as if it's a cool thing.
And we're not allowed to. I haven't been allowed to
Okay.
for years now. Luckily, a lot of the stuff they do with their professors over Zoom or whatever. Take it early, take it late. But
Okay.
but yeah, I have 2 degrees from Cal, but most of their homework I would not want to do.
That's
So
what I'm saying. I would just peek a look and be like, huh, can I still learn? And so, yeah,
yes, I could, but I don't know engineering. I don't think is in my wheelhouse. I've got an engineering major right now. You are good.
it's a lot of ones. It's a lot of zeros. I think you can get the hang of it. No, that's it's you guys also as a conference obviously made that choice not to play everyone with a year of data accumulated. You support that choice still?
I think obviously logistically for Stanford and us, it makes sense. I'm not sure for ranking purposes for the conference as a whole, the integrity of the draw at the ACC tournament. I think it's probably worth revisiting
Mm-hmm.
because you want to have, I think we had something like a 5-way tie for the ninth seed. And, and if everybody's playing everybody, maybe a couple teams make the tournament, maybe some teams don't, but I think that works to the SEC's advantage. And so it was an unusual experience. And I think it's going to be challenging for Stanford and us because if for whatever reason Duke and UNC don't play NC State, they can drive up the road and do that.
Yeah.
It's if we have a year like that, that's not going to be the same thing. So yeah, I hope they revisit it, but it was hard to have an opinion on it until I went through it. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I would think the goal of the conference would be to have as many teams in the tournament and as high ranked teams as you can have. So I think there's what, 6 of us still in.
I think it's 6 for you and 6 for the SEC, which is what
Yes.
makes it so
So
fascinating.
yeah, so I think it's an exciting thing to keep looking at, and as we try to figure out what's the best for the sport, we want everyone to have opportunity to do as well as they can.
Yeah. No, that's why I wanted to ask. I appreciate your opinion on it. A lot of matches this season. Which match did you learn the most about your team?
Um, I would say learning probably that Virginia match on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was kind of a pivot point for our team, and well, we also got to go to Blacksburg. Never been to Blacksburg. My boss, who will be here tomorrow, he's an alum. So yeah, I think that particular weekend.
By the way, sneaky good match was on the call for it. That was a fun one.
Yes, it was. But yeah, I think that particular weekend, seeing how we would do back to back, a place we'd been, a place we hadn't been, different ranking levels of the opponents, and come away with 2 big wins on the road. I think that was a good weekend for us.
Yeah.
So
No, absolutely. And again, it's why you guys were able to climb back up those rankings, be in the top 16 hunt, certainly down the
yes,
season's
so
home.
close.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Again, if the NCAA tournament was May 8th, like June 8th, excuse me, this team's top 16. I'll
Yeah.
speak for you, so you don't have to. But if you could go back in time and tell yourself to budget more time for one thing in practice with this group, whether it be on court, off court, what might you pick?
um hmm. I would probably say our serving. I think I mean I think we serve quite well, and not that it's bad, but I think it's definitely it fell in those something's got to give categories of. The fall was really challenging too because we very rarely had everybody at practice. We were going from one, so that typical developmental time that we would have kind of just disappeared. So if I had to pick something, probably that.
Yeah, I like it. I haven't heard that answer yet, so I appreciate a new answer here in this series.
Okay.
This week you're focused on the Sweet 16, of course, but invariably it is also the week the portal opens, and I'm sure someone on the staff looks at the portal just to keep an eye on all of that. Again, Cal is a unique case, certainly because of the academics, but how do you view the portal in how you view roster construction?
I think in a perfect world, we really enjoy getting someone as a freshman and working with them for 4 years. I think for us academically, a lot of people transferring it doesn't work because their stuff doesn't enough of their stuff doesn't transfer that it makes sense for us. So I wouldn't say um, it's a major factor for our recruiting because there's just a lot of where places where we can't budge. Um, Having said that, that's where we got Lon.
Yeah.
So luckily Cornell's, the stuff she did at Cornell worked, but I'd say it's definitely not a major part because of that. I think is just how it's played out. I hope going forward, because for me, part of it is our 100% graduation rate, something I'm pretty proud of too.
Mhm.
I think I think the growing up that they do and the learning and working through hard stuff is important. And I hope in this new era that we're in or transitioning to or whatever we want to call it, chaos, that the real goal is getting to learn to be a good teammate and a good student and earn a degree,
Yeah.
which they can take for the rest of their lives and go do whatever they want. So I hope in all of our competitive chaos that some order comes back around, because I do really think if you look at who's in this on the women's side, especially, I think that's why a lot of us are doing what we do.
No, that makes a lot of sense to me. And you kind of slipped it in. I should have asked you about it more immediately. Highest GPA of all teams on campus. Like, that's a big deal for like what does that say about this group? And did you know they were flirting with it? Like, were you aware like 2 weeks left in the semester? It's like, hey, if we have strong finals here, this might be our moment.
I will tell you, it's actually a little bit, it's they did all the work, so it's not me, but it is a little bit my fault because about 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah.
there's a monetary award, and you're supposed to use it for something special. And we always would just lose out to like swimming or golf, like point oh whatever. So we pushed through and we won it, and the team was able to go play in Hawaii in
Okay.
January and stay at a pretty nice hotel.
Yeah.
The Hawaii coach is I've known him forever. He's
Mhm.
really great about letting us come play there. So we were there, that team, and they said, "This is great. What if we want to do it again?" I said, "We'll win the award again." So we are now on year 5.
Okay.
So it has become a thing, and basically, well, my son just thinks we always go to Hawaii, which is great. He's 5, but the girls now, the tradition is okay. Don't screw it up.
I like
You know,
that. Let me. Yeah. I,
don't
no, I was gonna say, just given the superstitions, do you book the trip? Because that's an expensive trip to book. Do you book it before you see the award?
Well, luckily, I know, like, I just found out yesterday that
Okay.
while we were here, so then I can book it for next January. So, but yeah, I still wait till I hear we've actually done it before I book the trip.
I like it.
I'm a little notorious for my last minute trip booking because
No.
I spent too much time on the tour where I knew I had to get from one continent to another in like 2 days. It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, exactly. You know how to maneuver things quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. You tell a 5-year-old, like, Mom, are we going to Hawaii? And it's like, well, team finished with a 3-6, and we really needed that 3-6-6. And so no Hawaii this year. Yeah, record that interaction, because that's a fun.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't imagine that would be a fun one. My last few questions for you. I'm going to ask you to put on the
Yeah.
pundit hat here. I know you're locked in on
Okay.
your matchup. You're battling Georgia, but if you could kick your feet up and thoroughly enjoy one of the other matches going on this weekend. There are a lot of good ones. Happy to run you through the options if you need them, but does one jump out in your mind?
Um, I think I gotta support my Bay Area neighbors, and Frankie and the team. Our teams are pretty close, I would say, and we've kind of been on this new conference journey together, if you will. So I think that will be a fantastic match there in Stillwater. I'm sure there'll be a great crowd. I think it'll be a really interesting match because I'm really not quite sure how it'll play out. I think Stanford, the doubles point will be pretty critical for either way it goes. So I think of all of them, that's one I'm very interested to see
Yeah.
how it plays out.
No, I like that answer. I do like I've had a run of coaches who have all stuck with the company and gone with their fellow conference coaches, and I like to see that support, particularly at this point of the year. Um, but yeah, that is I mean, again, we all had to rush to the rule book and be like, wait, who hosts? Like, how does this
Yeah.
work? And so
Well, I just think, I mean, obviously, this was the first year I think ever in the women's tournament that there were no hosts in California or Florida,
crazy.
and like so obviously we want to, hopefully UCLA. I don't think we all just became terrible in one year. I think a lot of things, so for my home state, yeah, a little bit selfishly, I'm glad to kind of see, I guess, all of us former Pac-12 competitors, you know, move along here a little bit,
If
and
you
so people remember we're still there.
Yeah, I like that. If you need a third party to enter the group chat of what is the California coaches text thread, like you have my number. I'm very, very available for that thread. But my last question for you, obviously, again, the rematch with Georgia. A lot of familiar faces in that lineup that you saw as recently as last season. Talk me through what you view as their biggest strength and what it's going to take for your team to advance to Waco.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're basically playing a lot of the same team we played last year. I think they're the doubles. They've been very solid. I mean, they've been very solid all year. I think they have a really strong group of seniors that have improved as they've been in college, and that doesn't happen all the time. So I think there's something to be said about what they've been doing with that group, and how they've moved them along and the work that goes in to make that happen. So I think we're excited for the match. I think it's this is what college tennis is about. Really, like two good teams going at it, and I hope we get a lot of people watching. I know it's graduation, so hopefully we'll get some people there watching. But I think it'll be really high level tennis on every court. I think hopefully the longer it's out there, I think hopefully we can work through it because we're not always the fastest starters, but well, we did against Washington, so we'll see.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think they're good at every spot. They really are. So otherwise, they wouldn't be the number one seed. So I think the challenge is exciting, and I think we're just looking forward to tomorrow, and we will definitely. I promise we will leave it all on the court because that's what this team does.
Yeah, no, I'm very much looking forward to it. In our preview show, my co-host John Parsons accused me. He thought for sure I would have that match at number one of my most intriguing because of my affection for watching your team. I won't lie, I didn't. But it's up there. It's on the list, and certainly very much looking forward to the action on Friday. This is a joke just for Coach Augustus, so sorry, listeners, you don't get it. We made it through with no tariffs. So the
Yes,
brain's still working.
there
No,
we go.
sincerely, Coach Augustus, I appreciate you taking the time to join me on the show today, and always obviously a pleasure to get the chance to chat. And wishing you the team luck this weekend.
Thank you very much, and good job getting all the way through today.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything you're doing. We
I
we
pre-
we enjoy it.
I appreciate it. Good luck this weekend, Coach.
Thank you.
Recording